Hello, Mr. Holt. My name is Stephen Lee. I'm with University of Tampa Television, and it is an honor to have you here at University of Tampa. So,
thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Yes. Let me ask you, how are you liking Tampa so far?
So far, I'd never been to Tampa before. When I was flying down here Thursday. I travel a lot of the world. And I realized I don't think I've ever been to Tampa, and I got off the plane and realized I hadn't. It's gorgeous. I love the bay. I love the weather. The food has been good, and people have been treating me right. So that's all good.
In today's show, you guys did a segment about Florida's really weird news segments that come from the state of Florida. What is your favorite news story that's ever come out of Florida?
Oh my goodness, my favorite news story that's come out of Florida. Well, I don't know if a lot of people would agree with me, but as a newsman, I felt the 2000 election recount was probably the most interesting story I've ever covered. To have an election coming out of 500 votes, to have the whole recount drama and the court drama. I know it put a lot of stress on a lot of people, a lot of anxiety, but as a journalist, it was an incredible story and still my favorite story that I've ever covered.
I know it was like, who won? No one knows.
It was the most bizarre night. I remember going home that night after working the election coverage. I'm like, I'm going to bed and we don't know who won this race. And we may not know tomorrow, we may not know the next day. It was beyond bizarre.
Yeah, that's so important. Let's see what else. Your show today talked a lot about first-time voting. What was your first time voting?
My first time voting was in, it would have been, let's see, the Reagan-Carter race. So the 1980 election. I had to think for a second. Yeah, that would have been my first election. And that was a big one, That was, the country was going through a lot of things with the Iranian hostage crisis, and the Carter administration had been through some rough times, and Reagan came on, promising a new era. It was a pretty exciting time.
We also have we have a lot of journalism and writing majors here. What would be your advice to them?
My advice is, well, I always tell young journalists, whether they're doing broadcasts or certainly print, is writing is the most important thing we do. The ability to express, the story in a concise kind of a way while maintaining balance and perspective. That's the most important thing. And then read, and read some more. You want to observe what's out there. If you're going to be in broadcasting, watch. I always tell people, the best way to learn what we do is just watch. That's what I did. I watched those broadcasters who, for some reason, really communicated to me, that really somehow struck me as great communicators, and I try to study them and find out why they're so good. Why is it that they're engaging me? And then I try to kind of, apply those things, and eventually I kind of became my own, broadcaster. But really just kind of keeping your eyes open and trying to understand what makes for great communications.